Knights were known for their armor, but not all of them wore helmets. Some found them too heavy or hard to breathe in, while others didn't like how they blocked sight and sound. A few believed that a true warrior should face battle with a clear head and open eyes. For some, leaving the helmet off was about pride, faith, or wanting to be recognized on the battlefield, not just protection, but a statement of who they were. Number 1. The hidden struggle behind the armor. Most people imagine knights looking proud and powerful in full armor, with their helmets shining in the sunlight. But if you could ask one of them how it actually felt inside that metal box, the answer wouldn't sound so glorious. Wearing a helmet was often a real struggle. Once it was on, the air became hot and heavy, and every breath felt trapped. It was hard to see, hard to hear, and hard to move freely. Many knights said that after a few hours in armor, their heads felt like they were on fire. The steel didn't let heat escape, and the padded cloth inside soaked up sweat until it felt like a wet sponge against the skin. The design of medieval helmets didn't help much either. The great helm, popular in the 12th and 13th centuries, covered the entire head with only 2 narrow eye slits. Peripheral vision was almost gone. A knight could see what was right in front of him, but not what was happening to the sides. In the chaos of battle, that meant danger. A spear or an arrow from the flank could end everything before he even noticed it coming. And sound was no better. The echoes inside the helmet made every command and shout unclear. Many soldiers complained that they couldn't hear their own captains. On top of that, the weight caused real pain. A full helmet could weigh several pounds, and all that pressure went straight to the neck and shoulders. After hours of riding or fighting, muscles cramped and movements slowed. Some knights removed their helmets just to get relief, even if it meant risking an arrow or sword strike. When the air was hot, especially during long marches or battles in summer, wearing a closed helmet could lead to heat exhaustion or even fainting. Another issue was impact. Even when a weapon didn't pierce the metal, the shock could still rattle the skull. Some men were knocked unconscious simply from the force of a blow. Helmets saved lives, but they also made it harder to stay alert and balanced. Many experienced fighters realized that being able to see clearly and breathe freely could sometimes be more valuable than the extra layer of steel. So, for some knights, leaving the helmet off wasn't a sign of foolishness. It was a choice made from hard experience. Number 2. The price of visibility and hearing. Knights needed eyes and ears more than most people imagine. A closed helmet cut both. Early great helms narrowed vision to thin slots that worked in a lance charge but failed in a swirling melee. Peripheral sight almost vanished. A rider could not track a spear coming from the flank or a quick pivot by enemy cavalry. Turning the whole torso just to scan the field wasted time and energy, and in close quarters, that delay could be fatal. Later, visored bassinets improved protection, but many still fogged inside. Breath warmed the air. Moisture settled on the metal, and the view blurred at the moment you needed clarity. Lifting the visor helped, yet it also exposed the face to arrows and blades, so men made constant trade-offs in seconds that already felt crowded. Hearing suffered in the same way. Steel walls around the head distorted sound and hid direction. Trumpets, drums, and shouted orders blended into a dull roar. A captain's command to wheel left could turn into noise without shape. In combined arms fights, timing depended on cues you had to hear. Archers released in volleys. Infantry advanced by beats. Cavalry formed up on signals. If a knight missed those cues, he drifted out of alignment and created gaps that enemies exploited. Even simple talk inside a tight formation grew hard. Words bounced inside a helm and came out muffled. Hand signs and banner signals helped, but dust, smoke, and terrain often blocked the view. Recognition mattered as well. Under a closed visor, a leader's face disappeared. Men followed banners and surcoats, yet in chaos they also followed a voice. A bare or open face let troops confirm who was speaking and react faster. That was not only pride, it was practical control. misidentification caused real risk. In cluttered fights, a hidden face made friendly blows more likely. Open helmets or kettle hats left the face and ears free, so veterans who needed awareness more than heavy protection often chose them for patrols, skirmishes, and siege work on ladders and walls. The helmet also changed how impact felt. A hit on steel rang in the ears and stunned the mind, even without a cut. Ringing masked nearby threats and erased short bursts of sound that carried meaning. After a few hard strikes, hearing degraded for minutes. In that window, warnings vanished. Some knights accepted lighter headgear because staying oriented kept them alive. They preferred a clear view of the flank and a clean line to their captain's voice over thicker plates that isolated them. In practice, vision and hearing were weapons of their own. When the field turned fast and dirty, many judged that those two senses won more fights than another layer of steel ever could. Number 3. Pride, status, and recognition. Knights lived inside a world where reputation meant survival, influence, and money. A name carried weight on and off the battlefield. Many fighters wanted their faces visible because a visible face turned a clash into a stage where deeds could be seen and remembered. Chroniclers did not celebrate a sealed iron silhouette. They wrote about a known man who broke a line or rallied a flank. That urge to be seen grew out of chivalric culture, where honor shaped careers as much as any victory. A recognized knight earned invitations to courts, places at councils, and better marriage ties. Fame turned into leverage, and leverage turned into land and allies. Recognition mattered during the fight as well. In the crush of men and banners, symbols blurred in dust and mud. Heraldic colors helped, but cloth tore and paint chipped. An open or partly open face confirmed identity when everything else looked the same. Troops moved faster for a leader they could see. A captain's uncovered face cut through fear better than a muffled voice behind steel. Soldiers followed voices and eyes more than they followed rules. When a commander rode past and people knew exactly who it was, lines held longer and charges started cleaner. Status also shaped helmet choices. Knights stood above common infantry in the social order. Many wanted to look like leaders rather than anonymous fighters. An open-faced helm or a raised visor signaled authority and confidence. It told allies and rivals that this was a man who expected to be watched. In tournaments, the same logic applied. Competitors built careers on public recognition. Their fortunes depended on patrons who wanted a champion with a known face. The habits of the lists flowed back into war, especially early in the period, when the line between display and combat was thinner. There were practical rewards to being known. A high-born captive could expect ransom rather than a quick death. Ransom was a normal part of warfare and a critical source of income for many elites. A knight whose face was familiar stood a better chance of being taken alive. This was not reckless vanity. It was a calculated risk with economic logic. Show who you are, fight hard, and if the worst happens, your name might still save you. Some veterans balanced this by using open helmets that framed the face while keeping the skull covered. Others lifted a visor for commands or at the start of a charge and dropped it when arrows thickened. Pride added another layer. A few men believed courage should be seen. They thought a hidden face dulled the meaning of bold acts. Riding bareheaded or with the visor up sent a message to enemies and friends. It said the knight trusted skill, faith, and fortune more than a wall of metal. This choice also linked to ideas about God and fate. Some felt that if their time had come, no plate would stop the blow, and if not, clear sight and a strong voice would do more good than extra steel. The mix of honor, leadership, ransom logic, and personal belief made the decision complex. For many knights, the face was more than flesh to protect. It was a banner of its own. And keeping it visible sometimes served the mission better than hiding it behind iron. Number 4. When helmets became a liability. Knights did not throw away protection without a reason, but there were many moments when a helmet worked against its wearer. The first problem showed up as soon as the fight slowed down and turned messy. Early great helms and later heavy visors narrowed vision and blocked the sides. In a tight melee, a fighter needed to check the flank quickly, read a feint, or spot a spear coming from the edge of sight. Turning the whole upper body just to scan the field cost time and energy. That small delay could decide whether a man stayed on his feet or hit the ground. Breathing was the next issue. Inside a closed helmet, the air grew hot and stale. Padding soaked up sweat and held heat against the skin. On summer campaigns and in dry winds, the space around the mouth felt heavy. Headaches and lightheaded moments were common. A dizzy rider lost balance faster than an unarmored one. Heat also damaged focus. It is hard to read banner signals or catch a hand motion when your eyes sting and your head throbs. Hearing suffered in the same way. Steel walls trapped sound and turned commands into a dull wash. A captain's shout to shift left could vanish in the noise. Trumpet calls lost